It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
A very good evening, Zimbabwe. Hoping that you had a fantastic day wherever you spent and whatever you spent your day doing. If you didn't, this is the show to pick you up. If you did, this is the right way to end your day with ZiFM Sport. And today is going to be a great edition because it's Top Hit Tuesday. Chris is here, Mike is here, Sean is here to produce the show, and I'm, of course, Barry Manande. Now, on the home front, ZiFM have rejected an offer from Algeria to have the Warriors home 2021 AFCON qualifier against the Desert Foxes played in Algiers. We hear the thoughts of the ZiFM Sport team on that matter and ZiFM's decision regarding that. In international sports news, we have our staple, the Formula One report, which is probably brought to you by Zamoko, where Mercedes have taken another record away from Ferrari by winning the 7th Formula One Constructors Championship in a row at Sunday's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
In Around the World in 60, we'll start in England, where the pair of Maro Itoje and Ben Youngs have been nominated for the 2020 Six Nations Player of the Championship Award, but French players make up half of the six-strong shortlist. In France, Rafael Nadal says he's ready to pursue a record-equaling 36th ATP Masters 1000 title and his very first Rolex Paris Masters title this week. And in the United Arab Emirates, Sheikha Dawan and Ajinkya Rahane both hit half centuries to end Delhi Capital's losing streak and edge out the Royal Challengers Bangalore for second place in the IPL standings.
In the middle of the show is our play of the day, and after that we bring you the beautiful game where Jamie Vardy inspired Leicester City to a comprehensive 4-1 victory at Leeds United to move the Foxes up to second in the Premier League. In Ligue 1, according to reports, former Barcelona star Neymar will reject the potential chance to return to the Camp Nou in 2021. And the UEFA Champions League heads into match day 3 tonight, where Zinedine Zidane has labelled Real Madrid's clash with Inter a final, as it could go some way to determining whether 13-time European champions Real Madrid reached the knockout stages of the Champions League or not.
Well, that and so much more to look forward to on this edition of ZiFM Sport. But first is our power play. It's Top Hit Tuesday, meaning that we call upon Josh 685 and Jason Derulo. This one is called Savage Love.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Get in touch or reach out and touch somebody. How can you do that? Get in touch with us on social media at ZiFM Sport. That's a handle to follow in our individual capacities. At Chris Midzi, at Mike Madoda, at Sean Tafirenyika, at Gazaman14, for Alois Bunjira, at Mark Parza, and of course at Barry Manandi. Let's dive into it. We always start on the home front because charity begins at home, of course, and we're parked out with decisions being made at the summit of Zimbabwean football, and that is, of course, the FA, ZiFM to be specific. Now, they've rejected an offer from Algeria to have the Warriors home 2021 AFCON qualifier against the Desert Foxes played in Algiers. The Warriors take on the African champions away next Thursday before the two sides meet at the National Sports Stadium 4 days later. But with the logistical challenges brought about by COVID-19 pandemic across the globe, Algeria proposed to host both legs, and the North Africans said they would foot Zimbabwe's accommodation and other related costs. Very generous of them, and ZiFM has said no. Your thoughts, Michael?
It's a slap in the face, Barry. Very disrespectful, because it shows you that Algeria really don't think that Zimbabwe's got realistic prospects of qualifying or beating them. So they're saying, listen, we're going to pay for all the costs for you to fulfill these two fixtures. You walk away with possibly 0 points. It's not going to affect anything in the cold light of day, because we're likely to travel to Harare, beat you. You come over here at your own cost, and we're going to beat you. So listen, for me, this is something again that CAF should actually take a look into, because someone who is of a more cynical mindset would say that it's attempted bribery and match fixing, because this conversation shouldn't be taking place between two teams that are supposed to be in a competition, that are supposed to be squaring off against each other for qualification for AFCON. So I'm a bit uncomfortable about this whole conversation. And so the two things that I immediately pick up is that Algeria don't believe that Zimbabwe are competitive enough to beat them. And secondly, it's quite disrespectful. This is Algeria just trying to play big brother to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable conversation. So, in essence, Chris, I assume you agree with ZIFA's decision as well to say thanks but no thanks.
Definitely, I definitely agree with ZiFA, especially coming off the back of CAF actually giving that green light for Zimbabwe to be able to host their own matches anyway. If I was in ZiFA and if I was part of that team that actually managed to get the National Sports Stadium to a standard where we're able to use it, we're able to play, we'll take whatever advantages that we can get if there's some sort of advantage, even if there's going to be no fans in the actual stadium, just to be able to play at home. And this is our home. I think as ZiFA, they made the correct decision.
Maybe I also need to point out, Chris, that we didn't particularly do any work to get the stadium up to scratch. This was no, it was no work. This was a concession from CAF, and it came with a footnote. The footnote was that your stadium is not up to scratch. Okay, we have forgotten to discuss that in the Zimbabwe media. The stadium was not given the thumbs up. They said that, you know what? It's not up to scratch. You still have got X, Y, Z that you need to do to bring it up to scratch. But we'll give you a reprieve because the match is going to be played with no fans. So there are a lot of issues that can be overlooked. So ZiFA haven't actually got away with it. When football returns, as people expected to do in 2021, we're going to be back in square one. We still need to do the work that we haven't done at our facilities.
And of course, many of the areas that need to be covered are in the fan areas, which is the turnstiles for entry into the stadium, bucket seats, and elements such as that still need to be addressed and will need to be addressed in order to ensure that our stadiums are up to scratch.
Medical facilities, Barry, media area. There are so many things. You can pick, 100 things that ZiFA haven't done or the Ministry of Sport haven't done at the National Sports Stadium. There's still work to be done at that facility.
Indeed, for us to host international matches. But this international match will be taking place on domestic soil at the National Sports Stadium. That's because ZiFA has rejected the offer made by Algeria. Now, the team that's lining up against Algeria was announced on Sunday afternoon by Coach Logarsic. Your thoughts on it, Michael?
Well, to be honest, it's the usual names. Let's put it that way. And some guys coming out of the cold. Tatenda Mukuruva returns to the national team. Remember, he was Zimbabwe's number one when we qualified for AFCON in Gabon 2017. He's playing with Michigan Stars in the United States of America, which is sort of like fourth tier football in the United States. So it makes me a bit uncomfortable because who has been keeping track of Tatenda Mukuruva? And is it competitive enough for him to be warranting a call up to the national team at the expense of other goalkeepers who are doing well in other leagues? Because I take a look at those goalkeepers, I don't see George Shigova amongst those goalkeepers. Surely could George have been dropped for Tatenda Mukuruva, who's playing fourth tier football in the United States of America? Yet George is one of the most consistent keepers in the South African Premiership. So for me, that brings a lot of question marks. And then you also see some guys who are coming out of the cold. Tendai Gerera, Detroit City in the United States of America. He's another one again. And then also the intriguing case Barry, of Ovidi Karuru, who is unattached, released by Stellenbosch in the DStv Premiership. The man has not had a kick of football for several months, and yet he's been called up to our national team. On the basis of what exactly is he qualified for the national team? I love Ovidi Karuru, and I think he's a talented player. But I don't think any player who's not attached to any club should be getting called up to our national team. We've got players who are playing football out there who deserve the call-up.
Yeah,
King Nadolo, another one as well. King Nadolo from Dynamos. What is he looking for in this squad? Where is he playing? Where is he training?
And that's exactly the person that I wanted to mention next, because you talked about Ovidi Karuru, and at least Ovidi has had some football, and I'm not justifying him by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying Ovidi Karuru has actually kicked more football in 2020 than has King Nadolo, who last played a competitive match way back in December, but he finds himself in the squad as the only locally based player in this squad. So one wonders, Chris, who actually picked this squad? Loga, how much of a hand is he having in picking this? Or are we down to a panel of selectors who are deciding that they're going to pick players from obscure and bizarre locations?
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions around the selection, around procedure that's going on in terms of that ZiFA selection. When it comes to making these decisions, who is actually making the decisions? If indeed it is Loga, what is the basis of the decisions that he is making? How well does he know the players? Is there someone whispering in his ear potentially? Do we have a group of people who decide and hand Loga a piece of paper to say, look, this is the team that you're going to be working with? So it raises a lot of questions around what is going on at ZiFA and exactly what is going on specifically when it comes to players and getting these call-ups to the national team.
Two names for you, Michael. I'm going to mention the name of Neva Tigere. He's on fire in TZ. And then, of course, Knox Mutizwa in South Africa, who was making a push for being the Golden Boot winner in the former ABSA Premiership, now the DStv Premiership. Those two players surely would have been making a push to get into the squad.
Especially Knox Mutizwa. He's never disappointed every time he's been called up to the Warriors. Always delivers, always plays his heart out, and is always in and amongst the action. You know, he's likely to grab you a goal or at least present you with a goal scoring opportunity. So it's a bit of a surprise that Knox Mutizwa, a player bang on form, has not been selected for the national team. And then it also begs the question again, and it needs repeating that, you know what, how are these players being selected? Because if it's on merit, then there's some rather obvious omissions. But I am particularly excited by the inclusion of Butolezo Onube of AmaZulu in South Africa. You know, he's a guy who a lot of people overlooked when he was playing here in Zimbabwe with Cholocho, because he was at one of the smaller franchises, as you would call them, and then went over to South Africa and has cut the mustard. He's one of the best central midfielders in the DStv Premiership, but he's a player, Barry, that hasn't been given a lot of opportunity, despite the fact that he's been called up now and again with the Warriors. I'd love to see him get a run out. He performs admirably well whenever he turns out for AmaZulu. He's one of their key players, their go-to players, and I think he deserves a chance. Even if it means coming off the bench for 30 minutes, 25 minutes, let's see what he can do, because not only can he, break it down, he's also got a good pass on him. He contributes offensively, and I think that's the sort of player, that Benjamin Konjera type player that we are missing in our midfield.
Indeed, and the only challenge for Buto at the moment, and listen, he is a phenomenal footballer. Ahead of him stands Marvelous Nakamba, of course, of Aston Villa, Chris, and Marshall Munetz, who's playing out in France. So his opportunities have been limited at best, and hopefully, even as a substitute appearance, as you said, Michael, hopefully he will get a run out.
But it's reputation, Barry. You see, the very manner in which you have actually presented the case of Marvelous Nakamba and Marshall Munetz, you've had to attach the places where they play to their name. You've had to say Marvelous Nakamba plays for Aston Villa in the English Premiership. Marshall plays in France. So these players are being chosen on reputation, and not necessarily on their output, because they have been rather bland in the last few games for the Warriors. And the area where we have been weakest is central midfield. We're lacking the bite defensively, and we're lacking a bit of imagination going forward. So sometimes it doesn't matter who you are playing for. Let's see how you do when you're playing the yellow, the gold of Zimbabwe. Let's see your output when you're playing for the Warriors, and then let's judge you on your ability.
Some considerations for Loga there. Hopefully, Coach Loga, you're listening and you'll make the considerations to make some very brave calls.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Right, let's keep you updated with the rest of your local sports news, starting with rugby, where English Premiership side Worcester Warriors have confirmed that Zimbabwe international prop Ferrari Mudariki has left the club following the end of his contract. The 25-year-old tight head arrived at Six Ways in the summer of 2018 from French club Tabes on the recommendation of former Warriors lock James Percival. He made his debut in the Premiership Rugby Cup victory over Sale Sharks in October last year and scored his first try for the Warriors in their victory over the Leicester Tigers in the same competition 11 months later. But that proved to be Mudariki's third and final appearance for the Warriors, as an ankle injury sustained in training brought an early end to his season. In swimming news, Harare Amateur Swimming held their short course competition over the weekend, with most swimmers excited to be back in the pool. The weekend's competition at the Hellenic Academy attracted swimmers from Highlands, Otters, Spartans, Pirates, Sharks, Dorados and Falcon. The provincial competitions are being held under strict COVID-19 guidelines since the season got underway in September. Some of the leading swimmers who competed in the meet include Ashley Makuam, Kiara Goodinson, Benjamin Rock, Matilda Musere, Paige van der Westhuizen and Timia Schultz. And we wrap it up with netball, where the Zimbabwe Netball Association Bulawayo Province successfully held a refresher course for club representatives at Railton Sports Club at the weekend. The course was aimed at preparing for the return of the game post-lockdown. Netball is among sports classified as high risk by the Sports and Recreation Commission and has not been given permission to resume activities. Despite plans for a new league being put on hold, the association is confident a new league can still be introduced when the go-ahead is given for netball to resume.
Hi, this is Mike Madud, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Now, Zimoco is the proud distributor of China's #1 selling SUV brand, Haval, and we are going to talk you through some of the vehicles that you can expect from Haval, all available at Zimoco, starting with the Haval H1. Earn your street cred. This compact crossover is a smash hit success in global markets, sporting fresh looks and lots of features as standard. The H1 represents a very affordable crossover attitude. Its raised ground clearance makes it a confident runner in the urban jungle or on gravel roads, and the interior's host of entertainment features make sure that the road trip never gets boring. With its 1.5-litre petrol engine, the H1 sips fuel at an impressive 7.2 litres for every 100 kilometres and has a top speed of 170 kilometres an hour. And of course, as is the case with all Haval vehicles, the H1 has been designed to meet global safety standards and boasts a comprehensive safety package. The H1 is available from Zimoco at an unbeatable price of $19,000 all inclusive. Yes, you heard correct. All inclusive drive away.
That's very impressive, Michael, but I will raise you one. The Haval H2 is driven to impress. It's the perfect, small, stylish family SUV and features a 1.5-litre petrol engine with 6-speed automatic transmission. It features all-round airbags, automatic air conditioning, keyless entry system, push-to-start button, a reversing camera with park distance control, leather seats, sunroof, as well as many other exciting features. Definitely a leader in its segment. This fashionable SUV is competitively priced at just $29,000 US, all inclusive. That's a drive-away price. If you want to know more about the Haval brand, stay tuned. We'll be talking straight after this.
Z.
And let's give you some Formula One news where Mercedes are celebrating yet again as they have taken another record away from Ferrari by winning a 7th Formula One Constructors Championship in a row at Sunday's Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, clinching the 2020 team's crown with 4 races to spare with a 1-2 finish at Imola. Mercedes claimed the outright record of consecutive crowns after matching Ferrari's run from 1999 to 2004 last year. Mercedes' 7th title has come in just 11 seasons since returning to Formula One as a team owner in 2010, and most incredibly represents every constructors title available in the hybrid turbo engine era. Lewis Hamilton paid tribute to Mercedes, calling the achievement unbelievable.
I don't know, just feeling incredibly proud of this team. And to live in a moment where we see a team so successful and to be a part of it is quite phenomenal. Something that a real honor of my life. Working for this team and for all these people, everyone back at the 2 factories, Brixworth and Brackley. They really are the unsung heroes that are not on TV every weekend. They're the guys that are working flat out every day during the week's crazy hours to build and to innovate, to raise the bar so that we can come here and do what we've done today and this year.
Z.
It's a sport where the drivers often are front and center and the subject of discussion between the fans and, of course, the pundits. But, Barry, we all know that a good driver is nothing without a good paddock, and that good paddock is nothing without a good team to fund it. And Mercedes has found the perfect balance between those that are pouring in the money, the team in the paddock, including one Shane Myers, a Zimbabwean, and, of course, the driver, Lewis Hamilton, and to some extent, Valtteri Bottas.
Absolutely, and listen, I'm going to include the team out at Brackley as well, which is their center or HQ and race control, because that team is the one that is responsible for ensuring the machine stays on the road and is performing at the level that it is performing. So I think you're 100% correct that I think all of those bits have come together for Mercedes and have created this monster that we are experiencing during this hybrid turbo era. And in truth, I don't see it subsiding until the year after next, when we see the back of the turbo hybrid era, and then we'll know exactly what the next phase is. But certainly this has been their season, as it were, in inverted commas.
Well, we've often labeled the race for the Drivers' Championship, Chris, boring, but the race for the Constructors' title has arguably been even more boring. Such has been the dominance of Mercedes, and these are the things over the course of the next 18 months, over the course of the next 12 months, that the owners of Formula One are going to be trying to change as they try and bring some level of competition into Formula One that'll get fans excited again, that'll get pundits talking again.
Definitely. We've had a situation, especially this season, where race in, race out, you can almost predict exactly what's going to happen. And this is especially true because we've been seeing that Mercedes 1-2 consistently throughout the season. Red Bull was giving them a bit of competition, but nothing distinct. If you take a look at their points haul, Mercedes on 479 points. The closest competitor, which is Red Bull, is on 226. It gets a bit more interesting further down with Renault 135, McLaren and Racing Point 130. 34. But in order to keep Formula One exciting, there has to be a lot more competition right at the top, and that is with your Mercedes, your Red Bull. All these constructors need to be a lot closer in terms of competition if Formula One is going to remain exciting, if they're going to continue to enjoy the benefits of things like, for example, TV sponsorships. When it comes to that, competition is extremely important when it comes down to the money.
Well, Mercedes have wrapped up the Constructors title, but the Drivers' Championship is not necessarily up in the air. It's something that Lewis Hamilton is yet to see out. He's leading the standings in first place on 282 points. Valtteri Bottas is in second, 197. Max Verstappen of Red Bull, 162. He's in third. In fourth is Daniel Ricciardo of Renault. And in fifth is Charles Leclerc of Ferrari on a paltry 85 points. Sebastian Vettel, in his final season for the Scuderia, he's down in 14 with just 18 points. The next race is the Turkish Grand Prix, and it's next Sunday.
Z.
We said we'll be looking a little bit more at the Haval brand and its lineup. Now it's time and the turn of the H6, the SUV with a touch of brilliance. China's top-selling SUV is now in Zimbabwe, as we said earlier, and is the recipient of a number of awards in Southern Africa. The H6's allure is not difficult to grasp. It offers class-leading spaciousness and comfort in stylish upmarket design, along with turbocharged power and excellent fuel economy. With its smooth contours, chiseled flanks, and exquisite detailing, the H6 provides a distinctive and upmarket new alternative in the fiercely contested compact SUV crossover segment.
Oh, Barry, once you said allure and then you went on to describe the specs. I mean, those chiseled flanks. It was almost like you were describing a very beautiful woman. Well, if she were a woman, I can tell you that H6 features a 2-liter petrol direct injection engine with a 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. Key features are blind spot monitoring, panoramic sunroof, reverse camera, 8-inch color LCD touch display multimedia with Bluetooth, and so much more. This amazingly refined, ergonomic and safe SUV is available from Zimoco for just $33,000 all-inclusive drive away. That is coming at a snip. It's coming at a song from Zimoco.
All right, let's go to the big one. That's the Haval H9 with confidence to explore. Is a bold luxury 7-seater SUV. It features an efficient and powerful 2-liter petrol turbocharged direct injection engine with an all-terrain control system so that the driver can easily select the most appropriate real-time road mode for 6 different options. The turbo engine, matched to a German-engineered ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, delivers great launch feel, improved economy, ultra smooth gear changes, and of course the outstanding overtaking performance.
Now, the H9 has an impressive combined fuel consumption of 10.9 liters for every 100 kilometers. The vehicle comes with all the bells and whistles you'd want to find on a large luxury SUV, including massage seats, 8-inch LCD touchscreen multimedia entertainment system, all-round airbags, hill descent control, hill start assist control, and so much more. I guess with that hill start control, this one won't be allowed at the VID if you're going for a test anytime soon. Now, all of this luxury in a 4x4 SUV is available from Zimoco for only $65,000 all-inclusive drive-away price. Now, that is real value for money.
Now, all our Haval models are of excellent quality and are fully supported with service and parts from Zimoco. The prices include a first free service at 10,000 kilometers and 3 years or 100,000 kilometers warranty. Don't forget to check out our Zimoco Instagram and Facebook pages for exciting service specials, which include a special service pricing on Mercedes-Benz models and free headlight restoration for the month of November. Zimoco, we really mean it when we say specialized service for special brands.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, I'm JC Kriel, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sports. Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in England, where the pair of Maro Itoje and Ben Youngs have been nominated for the 2020 Six Nations Player of the Championship award, but French players make up half of the six-strong shortlist. Itoje has been hailed as magnificent all-tournament and as a destructive force at the breakdown and explosive in defence. He played a key role in his side winning a third title under Eddie Jones. We head over to France, where Rafael Nadal says he's ready to pursue a record-equaling 36 ATP Masters 1000 title and his very first Rolex Paris Masters title this week. The world number 2 has never won a title at the Paris-Bercy, but he has made at least the quarterfinals in all 7 of his appearances. Nadal admitted he's often tired at the end of the season, which reflects his results at the Paris Masters and the ATP Finals, which he qualified for in a record 16 consecutive seasons, but never managed to win. We'll touch down in the United Arab Emirates, where Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane both hit half centuries to end Delhi Capital's losing streak and edge out Royal Challengers Bangalore for second place in the IPL standings. Dhawan and Rahane shared a second wicket stand of 88 as the Capitals overhauled RCB's total of 152 for 7 with an over to spare in Abu Dhabi. Delhi's 6-wicket success means they will now face defending champions Mumbai Indians in the playoffs on Thursday, with the winners going through to the final.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, Chicanini midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Our roundup of the beautiful game starts in England, where Fulham secured their first win of the Premier League season thanks to a 2-0 victory against West Brom at Craven Cottage last night. Now, after that match, Jamie Vardy inspired Leicester City to a comprehensive 4-1 victory at Leeds to move the Foxes up to second on the table. Leicester are now a point off leaders Liverpool, while Leeds remain 12th on the table after losing back-to-back home games under Marcelo Bielsa for the first time. Now, Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers says that it was a really good team performance despite having lots of first-team players injured.
Leeds, you've seen the team, they've been in the Championship and obviously coming up, and it's one where you have to deny them space, and if it becomes a basketball game, then they've shown against any team that they can cause you problems. So we denied the space, pressed from the static goal kick, but obviously returned into sort of half-pitch block and made it very, very difficult, but then had the quality to play when we had the opportunity. So yeah, I thought we were amazing. You know, we get so many players out as well, and but there's some of the guys like Luke Thomas coming in at 19 and Wesley Fofana 19 in the back line, and right across the team. It was a really, really good team performance.
Building up to this game, Mike would have said that this was going to be an enticing affair on the basis of how Leeds have looked and also how Leicester have been playing. But in the end, Leicester made it look simple, and watching the game, in truth, they were rather comfortable.
They were, but they also weren't, Barry. The scoreline, I think, is a bit deceptive because it doesn't take into consideration the fact that Leeds were in the game. Until the very end. You know, they always felt that they were in with a sniff. They had a couple of goal-scoring opportunities before Leicester took the lead, and then they managed to bring it back to 2-1 immediately after the resumption of the second half. They had Leicester pinned back for long periods of that second half, but what won the day, I think, was the substitutions and the tactics that were employed by Brendan Rodgers, who is a manager that often doesn't get as much credit as he should for the way that he sets up his teams and the way that he's able to read the game and make the right decisions. And I think this was testament to the fact that he's a very good manager. Anytime you can tactically outwit Marcelo Bielsa, I think is credit to you as a manager. The other thing, Barry, also that I think, listen, I know people will hop on about Jamie Vardy inspired. It was not a Jamie Vardy inspired Leicester. Yeah. Jamie Vardy was not their best player. It's far from their best player. Tielemans scored 2 goals. No one's talking about him. And I thought Mendy in central midfield is the reason why they managed to dominate this game, because he managed to break things down in the middle of the park. He managed to stop all the Leeds counter-attacks. He was there supporting his full-backs, and he was there sitting in front of his centre-backs and giving them the protection that they needed to keep the rampaging Leeds attackers back. And that, for me, was the key to this victory. So we'll talk about Jamie Vardy because he's a favourite of pundits and he's a favourite of the media. But he was nowhere. I wouldn't even put him in the top 5 performers for Leicester.
Certainly. And listen, the substitutes that came on, including Undie, certainly would be ahead of Jamie Vardy, because what he did was he scored. But in terms of overall play, I think the Leicester City team performed very well. A complimentary scoreline, Chris. And the Marcelo Bielsa Admiration Society has got many members, ranking among them Pep Guardiola and also Brendan Rodgers. And to be able to pull the wool over a man he respects so highly is a huge feather in Brendan Rodgers' cap. A manager who, like Mike says, is very underrated.
Very underrated, especially in this game where those substitutions, the changes he made, the way he reacted to the game, especially in the second half where Leeds looked a bit rejuvenated when they came back in the second half. They were putting a bit more pressure, and the way that he managed to manage the game. I think being able to manage their game when you're playing against a Marcelo Bielsa, a Leeds side that's been troubling teams from the very start of the season. They don't look like a newly promoted side at all. And so to be able to do that, I think Brendan Rodgers definitely deserves all the kudos that are going to be coming his way after this game.
Now, and Mike, the other thing, Barry, the other thing I want to highlight is the amount of regulars that were missing from Leicester. They had several players that were not there. If you take a look at Johnny Evans, he's key in central defence. He wasn't there. Wilfred Ndidi plays in central midfield, one of the standout performers in that position in the entire league. He was missing. Pereira is missing from the right-back positions. Soyonchu as well is missing from the centre-back position. So ostensibly, they actually had a second choice centre-back partnership in defense, and yet they managed to do the business versus a very good Leeds side. So it shows you that Leicester can improve. And I think when we made our predictions for this season, we may have been slightly disrespectful of Leicester by going with the traditional big guns. Yet Leicester has shown over the last 18 months that they're a very good side.
Yeah, very good side. And I have to put my hand up because I thought when Brendan Rodgers was at Liverpool, he just had good players. But in truth, he's shown in subsequent jobs that he is a phenomenal manager that can manage horses for courses. Because as you say, he's got lots of players missing and now is playing more of a counter-attack type of play because he realizes that he can't have as much of the ball as he needs to have without his players available to him. So great result for Leicester. Leeds go back to the drawing board, but who better to be at the drawing board than Marcelo Bielsa?
Every single Tuesday, we take you into France, and we'll start off today with an update from 2 Zimbabwean players. Marshall Munetsi commanding a performance in Stade Reims' 2-1 victory over Strasbourg. And this has seen him named in the Ligue 1 Team of the Week. The Zimbabwean received a rating of 8 out of 10 from Football Stats website for his contribution in the encounter. Barry, if you take a look at Marshall Munetsi coming into Stade Reims and his performances so far, we can see that momentum is picking up, and hopefully he'll be able to continue this path.
Yeah, certainly. Look, he's taken to it almost like a duck to water in this, certainly in this season, and has put in performances that have been impressive. Did it before last season, and now in his second season, this must be his establishment, and it looks like it's headed that way in certain terms.
Another player out in France, Warrior striker Tino Kadewere, he's been praised by Olympic Lyon boss Rudy Garcia for getting back up on his feet and quickly establishing himself as a key player following Lyon's 1-1 draw with Lille at the weekend. Now on to some rumors. According to reports, former Barcelona star Neymar will reject the potential chance to return to the Camp Nou in 2021. The Brazilian international has been consistently linked with a possible move back to the Camp Nou in the last 18 months after indicating his firm intention not to extend his contract beyond 2022 in the French capital. Mike, this is a rumor still, but if this is the decision that he's going to be making, is this a good move in your estimation?
I think it'll be motivated primarily by money. I think PSG, they do give him quite a bit, and I don't think Barcelona, under the new financial dispensation that's sort of like sweeping over European football, will be willing to sort of like match the figures that he's on in Paris. So I think that might be a thing. We know that how influential his father is in the negotiations for his contracts, and because his father is his agent, he's also got to feed off that. And so I don't see him moving to Spain. And I also don't see him moving from Paris to any other team, because like I said, this is purely a financial thing. No team is willing to pay him what he's earning in Paris. And he's no longer a spring chicken, is Neymar. He's now about to enter the twilight of his career. And so he wants to make sure that he's still earning at a very high level in the prime years of his career. So he's likely to stay in Paris. They'll win the title each and every year. And they're likely, to have a decent showing in the Champions League as well.
Definitely a decent showing in the Champions League, so he gets all he wants, especially, like Mike said, that pay packet.
Hi, my name is Ruruni Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
The action is becoming thick and fast in the UEFA Champions League, and once again tonight, the top competition in world football, that is the Premier Cup competition, is on our doorsteps, and there is a big game that is coming out of Group B. It is Internazionale taking on Real Madrid. Now, we would normally talk of this encounter as being an encounter that determines who finishes first or second in the group, but right now the context to this big clash is who is fighting for the right to stay in the hunt. And I'm talking about barely clinging on to qualification for the knockout stages. Such has been the poor start that has been enjoyed by Real Madrid, or should I say that has been suffered by Real Madrid in the 2020-2021 edition of the UEFA Champions League. Zinedine Zidane himself labeling this clash versus Inter Milan as a final. Let's hear from him.
We are playing a final, we know that. But for us, every day we play like we are in a final. Everything we do is like preparing for a final, every match we play. We know it, and we are focused on what we need to do. 3 points will be up for grabs, and we are going to try to get them all.
Baz, Real Madrid have been far from convincing, both in La Liga and especially in the Champions League. They started to a draw in the last match day. They were trailing 2-0 with about 5 or so minutes, managed to claw their way back to a point. The previous match day 1, they were well and truly outclassed by Shakhtar Donetsk, who were missing about 7 regulars from their side. So it hasn't been the start that we normally anticipate from the record holders of the UEFA Champions League, and their work is cut out against an Inter Milan that can be good on their day.
No, it hasn't been ideal at all, and it's a bit curious how the form can be so different in the league and in the Champions League. But I suppose that's why they call it the magic of cup competition, and this cup competition, the foremost of them all, the Champions League. But Zinedine Zidane has got to pull this one out of the fire, and fairly quickly, because we're now at the halfway stage of the group stages. Immediately after this match day, and if he still finds himself rooted at the bottom of this group after this game against Inter, it's going to be a tough call for him to make it into the knockout stages. So, and again, Florentino Perez gauges a lot of Real Madrid's success based on how they're doing in the Champions League, because he loves that competition. So Zinedine Zidane will need to pull this one out of the fire and do so quickly.
And he's going to have to do it, Chris, against an Internazionale side who are no pushovers. They'll be missing the services of Romelu Lukaku, who's one of the most informed strikers in European football at the moment. He's missing, he's injured. Alexis Sanchez, though, provides perhaps a solution. He's back in training. Could he be given a start?
I think he could be definitely given a start. I think they need that reinforcement. Lukaku, I think, has been providing a lot in terms of Inter Milan strike force, and to be able to replace that, I think Sanchez might be a good fit in order to do that. If Real Madrid have any realistic chances in terms of a win, managing to get a win, I think this is the opportunity against an Inter Milan side that's not necessarily at its best, surely because of that missing player, Romelu Lukaku.
Barry Lautaro Martinez will say, I've got my hand up, I can lead this line.
Yeah, Lautaro Martinez will say, what? Romelu not available? Yeah, hold my beer. I'll do the job. And in truth, he can ably do the job. He's more or less a 10, more so than an out-and-out striker. So again, it gives Antonio Conte a bit more of an option in terms of having Lautaro Martinez play between the lines, provide the second to penultimate pass, and then latch onto the last passes as well. And we notice that Real Madrid actually struggles with the third man run late into the box because of their aging legs at the back of that Real Madrid defense. So it presents a bit of a tactical conundrum for Zinedine Zidane in preparation to counter the tactics of Internazionale. So a fascinating battle, this one potentially.
It's certainly the pick of the pictures tonight, and it's out of Group B. The other teams in that group will be Shakhtar Donetsk. Well, they'll be going head-to-head with Borussia Mönchengladbach out in Ukraine. Group A action, we'll see Lokomotiv Moscow, who were absolutely outstanding versus Bayern Munich last time out, but still fell 2-1. They host Atletico Madrid in Russia, while Salzburg will play Bayern Munich in Austria. Group C sees Porto taking on Marseille, whilst Manchester City will entertain Olympiacos at the Etihad. And then it's over to Group D action. Midtjylland will be taking on Ajax of Amsterdam, whilst Atalanta takes on Liverpool in the fixture that a lot of people will be keeping an eye on, simply because, listen, Chris, every game that Liverpool plays now is almost an examination of how their defense is going to do, because all the talk has been about Virgil van Dijk is missing, Fabinho is now injured, so that will sort of like be where the focus is for Liverpool.
That's definitely where the focus is going to be, where people's eyes are going to be for Liverpool. But I think if you look, this is a competition and the dynamics might be slightly different. But if you take a look at Liverpool's performance in the Premier League, then in terms of their defense, Liverpool is not looking bad at all. I think they're actually looking quite solid. If they're able to maintain that, then I don't think the defense is necessary. It might be their weakest point, but I don't think it's necessarily something we can look at and say, this is where Liverpool will fall apart in the Champions League.
Well, they're up against a very good attacking side, Barry. Atalanta will want to exploit any of those defensive doubts that Liverpool might have.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Atalanta themselves, whoever is picked in that central defense has got quite a task, because Duvan Zapata, he's been directly involved in 6 goals across 5 Champions League starts for Atalanta. He's a big, imposing figure. He loves to dominate his marker and his opponent, and also has quite a bit of pace on him. So it could be a bit of a tough night for that central defensive pairing, where we expect Gomez to be there, and we'll see who is picked in as his
do you let's just say you're a Klopp for a minute there, Barry. What do you do? Do you persist with Nat Phillips, who was outstanding man of the match next to Joe Gomez in the game versus West Ham, or do you go for the young Reece Williams, who just 18 months ago was playing non-league football?
Yeah, look, my hands as Klopp would be tied because I think Nat Phillips, because of that sale that was supposed to go through to Swansea in the window, that didn't then materialise. He wasn't registered for the Champions League, so you've got to go with Reece Williams. You've got to give him confidence. He's a young man. He's coming up against a very wily operator in Duvan Zapata, so he's going to have the confidence to stand the journey. And then, in truth, Joe Gomez has got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to give the young man some confidence as well. It's a Champions League fixture, and he's got to then defer some of that confidence that he has onto young Reece Williams. And I think Reece Williams can do the job. He's a big boy and can scrap it if necessary. So I foresee that it'll be a decent, competitive encounter.
And of course, we're talking about the defense, but Jurgen Klopp will be looking further up the field for the guys that he thinks can do the business for him. Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Bobby Firmino, and Jota. That's where the key might lie for Liverpool's victory. Attack, attack, attack.
And that would have been the sound that would have been coming from their Liverpool supporters. Attack, attack, attack. Because goals win matches, the old adage says. We got to go. We'll catch you tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday. Don't miss it. May God richly bless you. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.